If you wake up exhausted and hit a paralyzing energy wall at 3 in the afternoon, your blood sugar problem is not a lack of willpower. According to decades of long-term population data from Harvard and the National Institutes of Health, it is a mechanical failure. Your cells are literally rusted shut. Cutting carbohydrates will never fix it. Everything you have been told about creeping A1C levels is a dangerous half-truth. You feel the stagnation in your limbs. The heavy, brain-fogged crash that settles behind your eyes right after lunch. The restless tension in your legs at night. That is not aging. That is your internal machinery stalling. Dr. Megan Foster has watched this exact scenario unfold in active clinical practice for 24 years. She specializes in metabolic complications. She maps the architecture of disease. And she has documented a specific pathology she calls the perfect patient phenomenon. These are individuals who follow every medical command. They endure restrictive diets. They count every carbohydrate. They take their prescribed medications. Yet their hemoglobin A1C continues to climb year after year. The medical establishment looks at these patients and quietly assumes they are cheating on their diets. They assume it is a moral failure. It is not. It is an engineering failure. The cellular signaling mechanism is broken. Quick, honest question. Have you ever sat in a doctor and APO's office, had them look at your standard lab results and say everything looks perfectly fine, while you silently thought to yourself, end quote, then why do I feel so terrible, end quote? Your doctor might have even tested your mineral levels. They probably told you your numbers were completely normal. They were wrong. That standard blood test is lying to you. We will get to exactly why that test is structurally flawed, and how it hides a massive cellular deficiency, in a moment. Because right now, your body is engaged in a microscopic war. The modern medical system is trying to treat a structural collapse with chemical band-aids. Reversing this damage requires a completely different architecture. But carbs aren't an APOs, to the spark. The real problem is happening at a microscopic level, and if we look closely it looks exactly like rust. The clinical name for this villain is insulin receptor signaling cascade failure. But we need to look at this through an industrial lens. Your body operates on a strict mechanical blueprint. The cell membrane is a locked door. Glucose is the fuel waiting outside. Insulin is the key required to open that door. For decades, the medical community has obsessed over the fuel and the key. They tell you to lower the fuel by eating less sugar. They prescribe medications that force the pancreas to manufacture more keys. They inject synthetic keys directly into your bloodstream. But they completely ignore the lock itself. Insulin binding to a cell receptor is a physical, mechanical process. The receptor is a complex pressure valve. Inside that valve are biological tumblers. Those tumblers are constructed from highly specific, elemental minerals. When those minerals are depleted, the tumblers break down. The lock corrodes. The mechanism seizes. You now have a rusted lock. You can manufacture 1,000 perfect insulin keys. You can flood your bloodstream with them. But if the lock is rusted shut, the key cannot turn. The glucose cannot enter. The fuel remains trapped in your bloodstream, acting like liquid sandpaper. It scratches the endothelial lining of your arteries. It causes systemic wildfires. And your cells begin to starve in a sea of plenty. Over 70 years of industrial farming has stripped our agricultural soil. You would have to eat nearly a wheelbarrow of today and APOs, as spinach to get the cellular raw materials our grandparents extracted from a single salad. The soil is therapeutically bankrupt. Your high blood sugar is not a lack of willpower. Pause. I want you to read that again. It is a mechanical failure. Dr. Foster observed this exact rusted mechanism in over 5,000 patients. When glucose levels rise, the kidneys go into overdrive. They act as emergency filtration plants, desperately trying to excrete the toxic sugar sludge through your urine. But the kidneys are not precise. In their panic to flush the sugar, they also flush your remaining mineral reserves. It is a vicious hydraulic loop. High sugar causes mineral loss. Mineral loss rusts the cellular locks. Rusted locks cause higher sugar. the engine overheats. You experience the paralyzing 3-0 and oppos, clock crash. Your feet tingle with numbness. Your vision blurs. Your machinery is tearing itself apart. Reversing this cellular damage takes time. But your body will give you one undeniable piece of physical proof that the machinery is turning back on, and it will happen in exactly 7 days. We will cover that exact metric shortly. You cannot force a rusted lock with a bigger key. You need a biological solvent. And the most powerful one on Earth is likely missing from your body right now. The protocol requires a highly specific structural intervention. The primary tumbling mechanism in your cellular lock is constructed from one precise element: magnesium glycinate. This is the biological solvent. This is the premium lubricant that dissolves the cellular rust. When magnesium levels are restored, the cell membrane regains its permeability. The pressure valve is lubricated. The insulin key docks into the receptor. The tumblers align. The lock turns. The glucose is rapidly vacuumed out of the bloodstream and into the mitochondria, where it is incinerated for clean, frictionless energy. The clinical dosage is non-negotiable: 300 to 400 milligrams daily. You must take it in the evening. Ideally, split the dose between late afternoon and 1 hour before sleep. This specific timing calibrates your parasympathetic nervous system. It forces the engine to cool down. Go to your medicine cabinet right now. Look at the back of your multivitamin or your bone support supplement. If it lists the word oxide, throw it in the trash. The most common version of this mineral sitting on supermarket shelves is magnesium oxide. It is essentially toxic sludge to your system. It has an absorption rate of less than 4%. It does not penetrate the cell membrane. It does not reach the rusted lock. It simply sits in your intestinal tract, drawing in water until it acts as a harsh, synthetic laxative. You are purchasing industrial waste. You must use the glycinate form. The glycine molecule acts as a biological transport vehicle, escorting the magnesium directly through the intestinal wall and into the deep cellular matrix. Clearing the rust is only phase 1. To permanently rebuild the structural integrity of that lock, you need 2 more components, and one of them will shut down your sugar cravings almost overnight. The secondary protocol involves an amplifier: chromium picolinate. If magnesium is the physical tumbler in the lock, chromium is the acoustic amplifier. When the insulin key turns, it sends an electrical signal into the cell. In a diabetic or insulin-resistant body, that signal is a whisper. Chromium turns up the volume. It forces the cell to hear the command. The clinical target is 200 to 400 micrograms daily. When chromium saturates the receptor site, a profound physiological shift occurs. The cell finally receives its fuel. The starvation signal stops. The intense, gnawing sugar cravings that plague your evenings simply evaporate. The third component is the manufacturing formin: zinc gluconate. Your pancreas requires massive zinc reserves to safely package and store insulin inside its beta cells. Without zinc, the insulin degrades before it is even deployed. The protocol requires 15 to 30 milligrams daily. Do not exceed 40 milligrams, or you risk stripping copper from your system. This brings us to the great medical illusion: the lying blood test. When your doctor checks your magnesium, they order a serum magnesium test. They are measuring the liquid part of your blood. But your body is a survival machine. It knows that if serum magnesium drops even slightly, your heart will go into fatal arrhythmia. So, the body engages in biological theft. It steals magnesium from your bones. It strips it from your cellular locks. It sacrifices your insulin receptors just to keep the blood serum levels perfectly normal. Your doctor looked at the serum and told you your levels were fine. They tested the transport highway. They did not test the destination. You must demand an RBC magnesium test. Red blood cell magnesium. That is the only metric that reveals the true rust inside the cell. You do not need to buy expensive, imported Western superfoods to rebuild these reserves. You do not need massive quantities of beef or oysters. The globe provides a highly localized, highly potent alternative. Dry roasted sesame seeds. pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, natural peanut paste. These simple, ancient staples contain massive, highly bioavailable matrices of both zinc and magnesium. 2 handfuls of dry roasted pumpkin seeds deliver the exact architectural raw materials your pancreas demands. But there is a stealth threat actively destroying this supply line. Proton pump inhibitors. Acid blockers. Millions swallow them daily for heartburn. But extracting these heavy minerals from seeds and food requires a highly acidic stomach environment. PPIs neutralize stomach acid. They shut down the hydraulic extraction process. If you are suppressing your stomach acid, it is mathematically impossible for your body to absorb the minerals required to fix your blood sugar. You are starving your cells to soothe your esophagus. The best part about repairing your cellular machinery? You do not have to wait 6 months for your next blood test to know it is working. Your body is going to give you undeniable proof in just 7 days. The 7-day sleep metric is your first diagnostic victory. When the biological solvent reaches your cellular locks, it does more than just transport glucose. Magnesium glycinate actively dampens the misfiring electrical signals in your brain. Before your A1C drops a single point, you will experience a profound shift in your sleep architecture. The restless legs will quiet. The fragmented, anxious waking will stop. You will open your eyes in the morning and feel an unfamiliar sensation. True, cellular refreshment. Imagine that heavy, paralyzing afternoon fog finally lifting. Imagine hitting 3:0 and Oppo's clock and feeling the smooth, quiet hum of a frictionless engine. No shaking hands. No desperate hunt for caffeine. No sudden, hollow fatigue. Your blood sugar stabilizing is not a miracle. It is simply the result of proper maintenance. You are not broken. You are not weak-willed. Your machinery was starved of its foundational elements, and it reacted exactly the way nature programmed it to react. You provided the tumblers. The lock turned. The fuel entered the cell. Your metabolism is listening to the choices you make today. Your endothelium is waiting for the solvent. But providing the right minerals is only half the equation. Because right now, sitting in 90% of modern kitchens, is a specific, highly processed liquid that actively melts the cellular membrane and causes the rust in the first place. In the next protocol, we dismantle the hateful 8 toxic oils that reverse everything you just rebuilt.